Hey everyone, welcome to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast, where we highlight everyday humans doing crazy amazing things. People just like you and me who utilize their time, talent, and resources to make the world a better place. I'm Katrina Carlson.
And I'm Jefferson Denham. We want to thank you so much for joining us from wherever you are on this crazy, amazing planet. We believe it is more important than ever to stay connected, stay positive, and stay active. And if you agree, you are in the right place.
Hey, I agree. So that's true. And we're so glad you're with us today. As you know, one of our main goals in this podcast is to bring you practical information that you can apply to your life right away.
Right.
And today is no exception because we are focusing on the future of the world. That's a pretty big deal, huh? Are you guys interested in that?
The future of the world. Yes.
Yes, I am too. So one way to create success for the future is by empowering our youth, right? And in this case, it's our girls. But the same thing can apply to everyone.
Oh, yes, it can. And we're thrilled to share with you an insightful and inspiring conversation we had with Sonali Perera Bridges from Shero's Rise. Shero's Rise. Sonali is an award-winning, dynamic, and innovative leader with over 20 years of experience in a wide breadth of educational settings. She co-created Shero's Rise and is the driving force behind it to this day. She is a lifelong mentor and advocate who found her purpose, and she's leaning into it.
Oh yeah, that's really great. She found that purpose, she took it and ran with it.
Right.
That's what we all need to do, So Shero's Rise is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing girls and young women, also from underserved communities, with the essential skills, experiences, tools, and support needed to become empowered agents of change in their world. Their goal is for every girl to become her own Shiro.
I love that.
You get that little play?
Yeah, Shiro. I love that.
Yeah, to find their voice, to own their power. And we're going to find out just how to do that, because I don't know about you, but I could use that.
Really good stuff. All right, so let's get right to our conversation. We truly appreciate you, and we want to remind you that you are crazy amazing.
I want you to feel, I want you to feel something crazy, crazy amazing.
Hi, this is Shirin Yadigar, and you're listening to Crazy Amazing Humans podcast with Katrina Carlson and Jefferson Denham.
Hey, everyone. We're here with Sonali Perera Bridges. Sonali, welcome to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today. We're so glad you're here. And we just want to dive right in and start with your background. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself? Now, you were born in Sri Lanka, right?
Yes, I was born in Sri Lanka. I came here when I was 5 years old. Specifically came to this country because Sri Lanka was really bad economically and there was no opportunities for my parents. And so they came here so they could provide my sister and I a good education.
Okay, so that is how you got here. And then you had quite a journey through education and all that stuff, right? Your parents really set you up for success.
My parents did. And, the students that we serve tend to be first generation, low income students of color. I am that girl. I am literally that girl that we serve right now. And they did everything possible. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, the 4 of us, and they did their best to put us in the best possible schools that they can. So I spent majority of my time going through Catholic school and Catholic school guilt as well, but went through the Catholic school process, went to college, graduated from Mount St. Mary's University, went on to get my MBA, and then worked in the world of education and higher education my entire life. My sister happens to be a teacher as well. So we came here for an education and now we're both educators, which I think is kind of ironic and wonderful.
That's a wonderful way to give back. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's a full circle kind of thing.
And you're married with 2 daughters. Is that correct?
I am married with 2 daughters. I have 2 young ones, 9 and 12. So we're in the pre-tween phase. So it's challenging. So if you see the dark circles, it's because I've got tweens in the house.
Well, and hence now this is why this conversation is going to be very appropriate. Let's fast forward then to today. You've got 2 young daughters. In fact, I won't answer this for you. Where did the idea for Shiro's Rise originate, and why was it important to you?
It originated from being a mom and these 2 girls. Because when I was looking around for after school programs and things for the girls to be involved in, there are a lot of girls organizations that have community service and leadership and civic engagement and mentorship. But I was that kid. You couldn't get me to those programs because I didn't even understand and value myself. And so I really wanted to look for a program that focused on the internal aspect of a girl and helping them to build up who they were, and then help them to become leaders and people of service. And when I looked around, there really wasn't a lot of opportunities that were out there. So we kind of came up with this idea of what do we want? My girlfriend Margaret and I came up with this idea of like, what do we want our girls to learn? What are the skill sets that we want? Kind of drew up a list, talked to my 2 girls and her 2 girls who are best friends, and was like, let's do something fun this summer and let's get this idea going. Came up, they kind of drew a logo. We threw out some names. My older daughter picked Sheroes because I always refer to heroes as Sheroes, and for women. And nobody's ever heard that word before in our household, at least. And so she's like, let's do Shiro's Rise or Shiro's Elevate. And I'm like, okay. They drew the pictures, like it was a homegrown project. And then when talking to other moms, it was like, oh, that's a really good idea. We should do something about that. And I just sort of like sprinkling around.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you're really starting at the fundamentals. You're really going to the building blocks. You don't always think about that. You kind of have some assumption that kids are going to get involved and that's what's going to happen. But, what if they're just not feeling that confidence? I love that. So I would say what you've been describing is a little bit of your mission and purpose, and also this idea of what a Shiro is. And this is a word that you coined, at least at this moment in your life, in your circles. How do you define a Shiro? And, tell us a little more about your mission and purpose.
Sure. Shiro, to me, is a female superhero. She knows how to put on her invisible cape in moments of strife where she needs to pause. And she can also flip it around and fly and soar as high as she can in whatever capacity. And we are our own Shiros. And I came from a women's college background. And so I had to learn what that means. And I always add the she or the S in front of heroism or heroic or, all those kinds of words that we kind of coin, because it's like, I have girls, I need you to know who you are. And so Shiro comes from that and being your own powerful self. And we work with girls in underserved communities specifically to help them with educational programming and meaningful mentorship so they can elevate and become their own Shiro. So they know how to use that invisible cape. And later they actually earn an actual cape that is, what they work hard for in our program.
I love that. That's so fun.
Blocks. Yeah.
Well, your daughter like had to pose, right, with a cape. That was your.
Yes, I scared her out of her mind. It was really important for me to have a rainbow cape because I wanted anybody who defined themselves as a girl to be included in this. And got the rainbow cape. My younger daughter's, that's her favorite color is rainbow. And I took her to the top of Mulholland because in my head, I was trying to figure out an image and no image came close to what they had drawn. I'm like, I can't use crayons for a logo. So I took a picture of her at the tip of Mulholland with her pose, and she was scared out of her mind because she thought she was going to fall over. But
can't she fly? I thought she could fly.
She can, just not over the San Fernando Valley on the top of Mulholland. Never being 12.
I gotcha.
She was actually 10. So.
Wow. All right. Well, what I love about this too, Katrina and I were talking about this earlier, is that you have said a bunch of cool things about empowering girls. And one of them you just alluded to was be your own source of validation, right? Don't wait for the outside world to tell you because they're not going to. And so we love that that's what you're doing. So can you talk about the change that you believe your organization is making? I mean, what is the impact you expect Shiro's Rise every time you bring it into a situation, bring students in, what do you expect Shero's Rise impact-wise to have, and who's going to benefit from it?
The impact that I hope that I share with the world is literally for girls to know their worth and their value. And you are 100% correct in the fact that we look, especially in a world of social media, we're dealing with the biggest mental health crisis in the world in the history of time, post-COVID, with all the messages and mixed messages that kids are getting these days. It's a lot.
It's a heavy sigh, heavy sigh.
And I want to combat that head on. But I can't control what happens outside in the world. I cannot control that. But what I can do is build a girl and help her to have those tools, an actual toolkit that she can look at 30 years down the road if she needs it, or 10 years down the road, or 10 days from now, right? And everybody looks for their friends or their parents or somebody else to be able to say, you are worthy. I want you to be able to know that you are worthy from the inside, because the only person you need validation from is yourself. And I want that to be their superpower, that they know no matter what is going on in the world, that you are able to center yourself, you're able to define yourself for yourself, and that you have everything in you to get past anything that life may have. So
Amazing.
We're talking about fundamentals, you know, we're talking about self-esteem, self-confidence.
Yeah. And you really base this on actual research. And so can you tell us a little bit about why you know this approach is effective and how it is supposed to be successful?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I've been in girls' education. I'm a product of women's college, but I've also worked at women's colleges. I've worked at girls' schools. I understand the pedagogy behind it. How girls learn best is through doing, not just by being lectured to and seeing things. So, and we worked with a team of child psychologists, pediatricians, because we need to understand our bodies as well, because girls' bodies are in constant evolution from the age of 8 till post-menopause, right? It's always evolving and changing along with our hormones, as well as a group of educators. And we really looked at what is the confidence in girls. And girls' self-esteem peaks at the age of 8. And by the age of 9, it rapidly declines by 60%.
What? Could you say that again?
No.
A girl's self-esteem peaks at the age of 8 and rapidly declines by the age of 9 by 64%.
Oh my goodness.
It's not like we're talking about a fact that is 5% or 10%, 64%. And that's what it was 2 years ago. I have to double check to see what it is today. I'm assuming it's more than that.
Wow.
Post-COVID as well, and being in a pandemic and being isolated, and now trying to come out of it. And I don't know.
And the social media influence, because the social media influence rose exponentially during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
So, it's
kids received their iPads, even mine, way earlier than I anticipated, because it was their only way to socialize with their friends. And it rewires their brains, social media, the use of technology, being on it too long, their phones, it rewires your brain. And so your brain is literally going, instead of being able to grow naturally and form its own neurons and cells, right? And a child's brain does not stop growing until the age of 25.
Getting back to Katrina's question of success, the success you're experiencing, you have a board of directors, but you also have a younger board of directors to ensure success. Would you say that's part of the reason why you're successful?
Absolutely. I'm 47 years old, just had a birthday this weekend.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But I have no idea what it's like to be an 8 through 18-year-old at this time in my life. I don't know, and I don't assume to know. So yes, we have a board of directors. We actually have 50 women between our leadership team, our advisory board, our board of directors, plus our Young Sheroes board. So we have a board that makes fiscal decisions and policy decisions, but we have a Young Sheroes board, and they are made of the girls that we serve of 8 to 18. And nothing goes out to our students or to social media or anything else, or any of our programming, unless it runs through them first. I want to make sure that we're meeting the mark, and we need their input in order to make that happen. I didn't know the world of Zoom. I had no idea. We started off first. Our first cohort was through Zoom. no idea how it worked. And our girls said, this is what bores me in class. You need to put me in a breakout group. You need to ask me these kinds of questions for me to think about things. And then when we started our programming in person, we need to move more. We need to be able to socialize with our friends. We need some time to think. We need more time in our small groups or our big groups. And so we're always getting feedback from the girls that are in our program, but also our Young Shiros board. We need to build them up as well and help them in terms of leadership. And we have to do that. I think it would be irresponsible if we didn't do that.
Right. Well, let me just mansplain to you why I think that's a good idea. No, I'm kidding. So kidding. Okay. So you said that Shiro's Rise is, in a different interview I saw you say, it's dedicated to providing services for girls and young women, especially from underserved communities. So how do you determine who can participate in your programs? What's the criteria?
Sure. Underserved is defined in various different ways. And it's also based on where you live in the world and in the country. For our Los Angeles girls, it's specifically girls of color, those that may be on free and reduced lunch, those that may be part of the foster youth community, that may be part of the LGBTQIA plus community, anybody that needs an extra boost, right? So we don't say no to most of our girls. You could be at a private school and be dealing with financial aid, and being on a full scholarship. Absolutely. The fact that you're a girl already is a tick down in this world, because we already know how girls are valued in society. And so anybody else who has an extra load to carry, we want to be able to help serve them.
That's amazing. And you guys have this toolkit, and our listeners are lifelong learners, and they love being equipped with insights and advice and wisdom to help them, to inspire and all of that good stuff. So I was thinking, here you gather these girls from all walks of life, because you do have also girls who are not necessarily on financial aid, right? Some people pay their way in your programs, correct?
Not in our traditional 12-pillar program. It's a completely free program for our girls who are eligible to apply. During the summer, we're having a summer program, and that camp, so to speak, for the week. Yes, anyone can participate on that and pay a fee to be a part of that. And the girls in our program will go to that camp for free. Oh, that's really good. Anybody who's accepted into our program will do that. But it's also, you get to have a summer camp and get to write it off, because all 100% of those proceeds literally go towards the girls in our traditional program.
Oh, that's 100%. Beautiful. Oh, yes. That's beautiful. That works a lot in some of those independent schools where they have certain kids pay almost double tuition, and then they're really paying for somebody else to attend their school who, is underserved. So I love that concept. You're kind of doing a little bit of that there. And so just going back to this idea of toolkit and things to help our listeners as well to kind of live their best lives and encourage others to live theirs. Can you share some of your pillars, your teachings, or anything that might benefit almost anyone looking to find their voice and to build their own self-esteem?
Absolutely. And I can share a graphic of the pillars with you. I can email it to you so that you can share it with your listeners. But our pillars, they start with the basis of self-esteem, self-confidence, self-reliance, building empathy, kindness, and joy inside of yourself, not towards others, and all the way up to living a life of courage, love, and gratitude. Love towards self. And all of this, when we use these words, it's always seen as external empathy, kindness towards others. Well, we need to really be kind to ourselves. And so our programming, there's kind of 3 parts to our program each time we have a workshop. One is we have an incredible female come and speak to the girls that looks like them, that are professionals in various different fields and walks of life, that shares her story about how she came across this pillar and how she defined it for herself. We break our girls up into small circles where they're either journaling or having small group discussions about how this impacted them and what they just learned, and kind of looking at their own lives. And then we have a section called Pillars in Action, where we actually build a physical toolkit. So if we are talking about joy, for example, they wrote on gymnastics ribbons all the things that bring them joy. Or if we're talking about self-esteem, what are the characteristics that you have within yourself, and creating a wheel for yourself of what you may need. And then after we do the pillars in action, we also we do what's called creative expression. So with those gymnastics ribbons for joy, we did a whole dance party, and had somebody come and do dancing with them. Last week, we were talking about self-confidence. We had an amazing speaker. We helped them to kind of create a light bulb. And we use this scratchy paper where, your light can get dimmed over time, but you write your own mantra of what you want to see for yourself, an actual thing for yourself. And you're creating your own shield and coat of armor with it that has all your attributes and who you are. And it's literally a shield and a light bulb that they're creating for themselves using their artistic expression. And then you kind of scratch it off where it's like, you're not letting it dull anymore. You're allowing your light to shine, and you can keep it anywhere in front of you. And then our creative expression was drumming. So we had girls doing drumming and percussion and all of this fun kind of cool things with I am statements of who they are. And it was a pretty powerful moment, frankly. It was really kind of neat because you're using different expressions. This week it's trust. We're doing that on Saturday. And so we're continuing to build upon that. And so this week we're doing improv and comedy and acting because we want you to be able to learn how to trust yourself and not worry about if people are going to laugh at you and your improv or not, but really, how do you stand up there and trust yourself and have the confidence in yourself to be able to try this out? So it's different forms of expression.
Wow, this is such good stuff. And I love that you're going to share this, the diagram with us with all the 12 pillars.
Yeah, I only learned by pictures. So I personally am glad you're doing that.
Just for our listeners, for our listeners, would you be able to pull that up for us now and just kind of read so that the people who are listening can also know what these 12 pillars are that we're going to be also showing on our YouTube version of the podcast?
Our first layer is self-esteem, self-respect, joy, and self-confidence. The second layer of building is kindness, empathy, compassion, self-reliance. And then the final layer is trust, courage, love, and gratitude. And normally when I say pillars, people think of actual pillars, but we designed it in this way because they build upon each other like a honeycomb. They build upon each other, and one is just as important as the other. And you need all of this to feel empowered.
Absolutely. I love those. I love leaders.
And, Katrina, to Katrina's question too, this isn't just something that girls would get something out of. I mean, everybody can get something out of this, right?
Absolutely. And we've been having that conversation lately, in our leadership team, the importance of boys needing to know this information as well, probably more so than the girls, because right now in our country,
we're a little slow. It takes us a minute.
We're also polarized with all the things that are going on because boys never have a way of expressing who they are. And girls, at least even on the hardest of days, will at least cry, but for boys, it's like, why are you crying? Stop crying.
I know. I really wish there's even more for boys. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that you have aspirations. Certainly you stated goals that you want the girls, because this is like 12 months, right? It's a 12-month program. So you have aspirations for the young Sheros that participate.
Absolutely.
And I bet you've seen some success stories of transformation and empowerment. Could you share one or two of those stories?
Gosh, I have more than one or two.
I bet you do.
I have so many, but
just tell us how it's impacting girls' lives. I'm sure it's profound.
Well, one of the girls, she comes from a single family home. Her mom was pregnant when she was a young teenager. So she has an older sister, and this is her second kid coming through our program. And this girl, when I first met her, she literally had nothing to say, would never look someone in the eye, was just quiet and shy and was like, what am I doing here? And she started off on Zoom with us. And now she came back, because even if you graduate and get your CAPE, you still get to come back whenever you want to, because once a Shiro, always a Shiro. And these are lessons that they need to learn all the time. And sometimes multiple times. I need it still. Again, I needed all that as well as a reminder. But this year, when she came to us, and even now we're going towards pillar 7, and she's laughing, she's making eye contact. She is the first to be able to raise her hand in the group. She's the first to like get up and do her drumming and make her I am statement. And I just kind of look back. It's like watching your own kids grow, where it's like, oh, I see that. I see that fire and that spark in you. And then I look at her. I follow her school's social media channels, and she's speaking in front of the press or being able to win the robotics championship at her school. And I just think that's so beautiful, because these are things that she's never been able to do before. And her mom would always talk about, I'm worried about her because she won't do this or that. I'm like, let her be, let her come to it on her own. There's another girl who was in the middle of our program who was talking about her mental health issues, and she disappeared for a little bit. She disappeared. She didn't come to like 2 or 3 sessions. And one of our group facilitators was like, I'm really worried about this kid, Sonali. I haven't seen her. This is what she shared in her small group previously. And so we reached out to her school. They were able to go and knock on her door. She was contemplating ending her life. They were able to kind of go in and help her and get her the assistance that she needed. And then she came back to us like 2 weeks later, and she shared her story. And she said, I didn't know anybody cared about me until somebody knocked on my door. And it was because of you guys. And this is the first safe space that I've ever had. And thank you for caring about me. Like, I mean, it takes a lot to not just sit there and sob over it, but I'm so proud of these girls, because they're understanding not only do they have value to themselves, but they also have value to their own community, and that we are creating a community, a village, and a family for these girls to always be able to rely on and come back to.
That's beautiful. So where are you guys actually, do you have a location somewhere? Where do you guys hold the meetings?
We do. So home base is in my house, but we partnered with Mount St. Mary's University, which is the only women's college in Los Angeles. Yeah. And all of our programming is done there in partnership with them. I'm a proud alum, so I'm really grateful to be able to have this space. And, our girls are all over campus on Saturdays. And it's a lovely, beautiful partnership, because that's the place. And it's ironic because I went to college there, and that is the place that I found my voice, learned my worth and value. And now it's a full circle moment for me, because I get to go back there and take these students there and guide them through the process in the place where I found it. So it's really personal to me.
Absolutely. And that's a beautiful campus and centrally located enough right in the LA SoCal area. I would imagine that most parents are overwhelmingly excited about having this opportunity for their daughters and the tools that you give them to thrive. But have you ever experienced any pushback or any doubters, or what might be some misconceptions that people might have about Shero's Rise?
There may be people who have preconceived notions, some members in my family, like, oh, you're telling these girls what to do and you're kind of conforming them to be a certain way. Absolutely not. Like, we're literally giving them the tools and the power that they need to better their own lives and their own self, period. And our parents, we also provide them with the tools that they need, because it's sometimes difficult at home if you walk in the door telling your parents, this is what I need and this is what I want and this is how I'm feeling. And a parent may not know what to do with that information, right? So we're starting a series for mothers and daughters, the conversation between mothers and daughters, called Finding My Voice. We're kicking it off later this month with the people that are going to be doing it is Valerie Jarrett and her daughter, Laura Jarrett, who's a CNN legal correspondent, and possibly her mom, depending on how her mom feels. But we're kicking it off so that parents actually know how to have these conversations with their daughters. And sometimes it's not, you're wrong and you can't talk to me that way. Sometimes it's just listening and absorbing and saying, that seems hard. That seems really hard. And I understand that you feel that way, and just sort of validating and sitting with that feeling. But we're now looking at this conversation in these series to be transformational, from intergenerational trauma to building intergenerational empowerment. And the cycle breaks somehow, right? Because everybody's narrative now is, well, that's the trauma that I've had forever. And accepting the fact that we have trauma, that's great. But the trauma stops with me.
Yeah.
I'm changing that and I'm breaking that cycle. So my daughter has something better for herself. My mother made it better for me. I'm going to make it better for my daughter. And how do you change that? So my granddaughter will one day have none of these issues and none of these arguments at home, but
she'll have lots of other issues, probably.
She'll have lots of other issues. Life happens to everybody, right? But we've only received love and gratitude from our parents. And they've been really thankful. Each of our girls also gets a mentor, a one-on-one mentor, which we're looking for more mentors. So if any of your listeners want to go on our website and say, get involved and hit the volunteer button in the mentorship application, we welcome it, because you need someone in this world to walk through it with you. You need a support system, and there's only so much support that I can provide to 250 girls. Absolutely. But one-on-one, we train our mentors how to listen, how to support, how to know when and where they should stop so that the girls can feel good about themselves. And just even for an 8-year-old, if it's and the commitment is 1 hour a month, that's the commitment, right? But 1 hour a month for an 8-year-old, if you're sitting there reading a book with them or playing a game, and that 1 hour of undivided attention changes their world, or a cup of coffee, to just, how's it going? You can do this. Don't worry. It's going to be okay. Those conversations are just really important. And for us, we want them to make an intentional commitment to these girls, that you're the one that is going to open a door for them and kind of guide them and help set them up.
So I have a question.
All had somebody do it for us, right?
Well, right. So I have a follow-up question to what you were just saying. So I know you're talking about it takes a village and we all have to participate. Everyone that's part of Shero's Rise, you create this community that's supportive. Is there, I would imagine, so for anyone who has a daughter and they're really interested in this for their daughter, you must have a pretty rigorous screening process, would you say, for any adult participants? So
absolutely. We'll do a background check. If you are not a teacher or a police officer or anyone that, has already received background checks to do your job, we will do a background check. We will ask you questions. We will interview you. We want to make sure you're the right fit. And we have to get to know our mentors, because we know our girls and we want it to be an appropriate match, because it can't be a bad fit. And if it is a bad fit, we want our girls and our mentors to be able to say, this is not working for me, because we want people to be paired up with the right partnership. That's really important to build trust.
Absolutely. For sure. It really sounds like you all have thought of everything from all the different boards and the participation on all levels, all age levels, to obviously vetting everybody, to having these extra. I love the mother-daughter group that you're forming. I think that's amazing. As a mother of 2 daughters myself, and I also have a son. So that's really, really awesome. In today's society, what would you consider is the kryptonite for your Sheros?
What I've been struggling with, and I feel like the girls are struggling with, is being able to trust yourself in a world where you can't trust anything. We are dealing with so much just in the past few days and weeks, where you're feeling unsafe in your schools, you're feeling unsafe in your grocery stores, you're feeling unsafe walking down the street or even laying in bed these days. It's a lot going on. And it's what I find to be a challenge is, we're going into the Pillar of Trust this Saturday, and I have to figure out how to explain trust and trusting yourself and making a decision to better your life when the world around you doesn't feel so safe. And you feel like you can't trust it, especially girls of color. And that is the hardest thing. But I think our girls need to make a decision that they are going to do this work for themselves, so they can go out there and change this world and make it a place where they can live with trust, because it's hard right now.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you would like us to know about, that you'd like our audience to know about?
Yeah, in the fall, we will have our annual gala and we honor our mentors and we do our mentorship award. We're looking for sponsors for that event. But our programming always starts in January. So there won't be a new cohort to join for this year's traditional 12-pillar program. But we need the support of our community, even if that's $20 a month that you are doing to donate, or you are volunteering, or you are trying to be a mentor. Please do that, no matter what time of year it may be, because every single dollar does not go to me. It doesn't go to the team. It goes to the girls. You know, I don't get a salary. I don't get a salary.
Wonderful.
No, but none of us do. We all are doing this out of our hearts. This is my heart work. And I welcome any support. If you want to pick up the phone and call and see how you can help, we welcome that as well.
I love it that it's heart work. That's
I do
beautiful.
too. So at the gala, is there going to be drumming, dancing, and improv? I want to know.
Absolutely. And our girls will be there. Our girls will be there to share their stories. We will be honoring our mentors. And every year we give out a Sheroic Mentorship Award named after our honorary founder, Bernadette Robert.
If members of our Crazy Amazing Humans community wanted to either participate or volunteer-wise or donate, or if someone has a child that they'd like to be put forward for you to consider, how do they do that?
They can go to our website, which is www.sherosrise.org, SHEROSRISE.org. And they can just click the button on the top that says join us. And it literally will drop down and say, or get involved. And it'll say, here's where you donate and here's where you volunteer. And it's really simple and easy. You can set up a recurring payment if you want to do like $10 or $20 a month. That goes and makes a huge difference to our girls. We accept mentors all year long because we always have new girls. So we welcome them at any time. And follow us on social media as well at Shero's Rise, SHEROSRISE. And we'll keep you up to date. You'll see pictures and videos of the girls. You'll see testimonials from the girls. And you'll also know about any new and fun things that we come up with during the year that everyone can get involved in the community.
So if someone has a daughter and they'd like to be a part of this, do they go through the same process? Do they send you a note? How does that work?
They can go and click on our programs. So there's a program button and it'll say this, our 12-pillar program. This year, our theme is Ignite the Force Within. That's our theme for this specific year because we want to illuminate that. And you can also get information about our mother-daughter conversations in series, which is called Finding My Voice and learning the power of your voice, as well as that for your daughter.
This really is incredible. And you really have thought of everything. Sonali Perera Bridges, we want to thank you so much for being part of our Crazy Amazing Humans podcast. And indeed, you are crazy amazing.
I want you to feel, I want you to feel something crazy, crazy, amazing.
So that's our show. A big heartfelt thanks to you, Sonali Perera Bridges and Shero's Rise.
Thank you, Sonali.
Yes, for all the important work they do to lift up young girls so that they're able to reach their potential. And if you've enjoyed today's episode and you think it would be meaningful and helpful for someone you know, please be a crazy, amazing human yourself and let them know about us.
Right. Remember to make sure and subscribe to the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We've also filmed the podcasts, so you can check us out on the Crazy Amazing Humans YouTube channel. Make sure and leave comments when you're there. We love to hear what you're thinking.
We absolutely do.
Right.
And most of all, we want to make sure to thank you for being with us. Remember that every little kindness has the potential to create crazy, amazing human experience, one person at a time.
And as always, this week, we want to encourage you to find one thing that you can do to extend kindness and love in the world. I'm Jefferson Denham.
And I'm Katrina Carlson. Stay healthy, stay connected, and we will see you next time right here on the Crazy Amazing Humans podcast.
I want you to feel, I want something crazy, crazy amazing.
If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, please make sure to write us at crazyamazinghumans@gmail.com.